We are back at Odd Down for another crit race. Guys, welcome back to the What Life. Let's roll. So let me fill you in since last time we were down here. I'm at the end of week 6 of a 12-14 week training block. Here is how the last 6 weeks have gone. Bear in mind that I've been doing Zwift racing. Not only have I done Zwift racing, but I had a deload week, and then I did a crit race on the Saturday, and then last weekend I did a crit race on the Saturday as well. So I've raced the last 2 weekends. This will be the 3rd weekend in a row that I've crit raced, but I haven't really had a chance to kind of deload this week, and I don't want to deload because I'm kind of now still in a build. So we're back at Odd Down. I'm going to warm up because the weather's a little bit different this time, and then yeah, I kind of want to get out there. Tom is here, and I'm going to talk you through the race tactics because it's quite interesting because it's a Cat 3-4 this time. Last time I was down here was Cat 4 only. A few more things to think about. So the setup for this week is we are still on the SLC. I've sorted out the headset issues. So I replaced the bung, loads of carbon paste, I cleaned it out with isopropyl alcohol, loads of carbon paste, a new bung from the guys at the clubhouse, and then just kind of, I guess like 6 Newton meters for the bung screw, 6 Newton meters on the stem screws, and then 3 for the top cap. And that feels like, I've only ridden it last weekend and it was fine. Right, let's have a quick chat with Tom because he's got some interesting tactics for today.
How you doing, you okay?
Well, are we tacticking or are we... You're here early, you're here super early.
Showing support.
Okay,
No,
yeah.
we're just discussing the fact that I've just changed my front chainring and I've not really indexed my gears, so that's going to be good fun.
It's gone to a 54 on the front.
That's not going to affect your indexing, is it? Because the indexing is the alignment of the rear cassette.
I had to change the length of my chain, and because of the tension and the
maybe.
rear neck, it's it's a bit. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
Tom was telling me that he's going to go from the off so that we can get some separation. I say we because if he does it, I'm going to have to do it.
Honestly, being up the road stairs is your best bet. Yeah. You don't want to be in the melee in these conditions.
Okay.
So if you can get up the road, that's great.
Safest place, and I'm all about safety.
Yeah.
Okay. the less people in front of you, the less people that can go down in front of you. So
on a day like today.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a Cat 3-4. Tom, who I get to race with this week because he wasn't able to race with me last week because I was 4th Cat only. I think they're going to go. The word is
get in the rate.
Go hard from the off to create a break.
100%.
How does they all know it? He said 100%. He knows it. No one tells me that. I had to like eke it out of them. I was like, Tom, what are you doing? Okay. So it seems like everyone's on the same page in terms of what the game plan is for an Odd Down 3-4 today, which is, I think the guys are going to push hard off the off, which means I can't do my thing where I just turn up to the start line and sit at the back. And that makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable, especially on a day like today. I think it's time to put the big boy pants on. Another week of ruining way too nice shoes. Tom's ready to ride, so I'm going to get changed real quick, go out for a warm up. I keep taking gels with me for the race, but then I don't take them in the race because my hands are either too cold or I just can't find a time to take them, but I need to try and get used to that. Maybe something in the summer. Maybe I'll handle it better. like now that I'm on the bike, it's not terrible. Yeah. A few hill warm-ups, and it's not terribly cold. Obviously, a little bit damp, which, like I said, you know, I like sitting on the back on the start line because I'm not that experienced with racing. Makes me feel more comfortable. I think I've got to get over that today. Get a better start line position. Right, about 15 minutes. Tom and I are gonna go and get ready, get on the track, get some laps in. Whew. You feel alright?
I feel good today.
Yeah.
I feel really good. Yeah, I've tapered nicely. Nice Swift race on Tuesday. Warm up yesterday. No excuses.
I saw your Swift race on Tuesday, you got shelled.
I didn't say I did well. That was the point.
So the women's race is on at the moment, so I'm going to resort back to lapping the car park until they open the track. Once the women's ride has finished, try and stay warm. But I'm going skin suit this week, so every week we're getting a little bit less clothing. Women are just coming off now, and then we're gonna dive on, get a few laps in because I'm cold now, and then Tom has told me we've got to get to the front of the start line, which today I'm going to agree with, and I'm going to do my best to do. Let's go, let's go. Right, onto the start line. I'm going to try and get a bit further forward. Also got to get my gearing right now.
So there is my sneaky to the front of the grid. Guys, there's over 40 riders here, which is awesome. It was a fully sold out race. A few people didn't turn up, but we basically had a full field. There were 4 rows on the grid. I managed to sneak my way to the second one. Sorry for anyone that I kind of sneaked through. Next time, pay more attention. Anyway, let me talk you through this race because in all honesty, it lasts for as long as it lasts. I found this really hard. I didn't have good legs on the day, but I was still out there. The thing that I struggled with the most was slightly wetter conditions. I was terrible at the corners, and I'll take you through some data that just like shows you all of this. Also, because this is a Cat 3-4, and people have told me, you know, every race you do, guys, every race you do, people's advice unanimously is like, sit near the front, get near the front, conditions are wet, get near the front. It doesn't matter if you are near the front if you don't have the watts, because you can't stay there. You know, I don't want to, you know, I want to be a bit more constructive than just saying, you know, like, oh, be the first person across the line and then you'll win, because sometimes it feels a bit that way. And I'm going to break this race down for you a little bit to give you some more info about anyone that might be new to kind of this style of racing. I'm not saying I know everything, I'm just sharing my opinion and my perspective on these things, and this is me trying to work forward, but it was absolutely killing me. And when I show you the data in a minute, you'll see why. I was trying to sit closer to the front, and obviously we had this discussion beforehand. I knew people were going to go down the road. You can see on that corner that it's stretched out already. Like, it's really quite stretched out. We have 3 riders down the road, which is Tom and 2 other riders, and you know, sadly for Tom, the 2 other riders managed to stay off the front the entire race. So 2 guys basically TT'd this race, just kind of doing a 2s up for the race. Tom dropped back to the pack, and then I kindly gave him my space in the pack by dropping off the pack, but that is a little bit later, and you'll see that in a second. So I was trying my best. Bad legs, didn't enjoy it. My average speed for the first 3 laps is lower than my average speed last week, but my watts for the first 3 laps is a ton higher. So obviously I wasn't bringing my A game. I wasn't doing anything particularly well, and there was no like marginal room for error this week, shall we say. Like, if you're not doing it well, you get found out. Whereas last week, if I wasn't doing it too well in the first few laps, like I said, like sitting off the back a little bit, I could punch back to the group. The combination of not feeling quite so dialed in on these hairpins, these big hairpins that were going through. Like I was terrible at them, and especially in that wet condition, and it really hurt me. So I tried to kind of move up, and then you're watching it now in real time is is me moving backwards unintentionally. I didn't have the watts to ride up the front, and you saw how strung out this race was from the get-go. You understood people's mentality going into this race from the get-go was to kind of go hard. I only had so much hard in me, so I kind of wasn't able to kind of participate in that. And now let me take you through what I'd say is like my perspective of what I think I should have done, having, now that I can reflectively look back on this. I went in with the intention of like, oh, I'm going to do of what people are recommending me to do, which is try and move forward. And you can see me trying to move forward at times, but then I my legs on the day, or just maybe my watts in general, just wasn't enough to maintain that position. But this is what I think I should have done, having like reflectively had a little bit of time to think about it, is that I should have mentally like considered the front of the race to be like P10, P11. So I should have kind of presumed that the front, 6, 8, 10 riders are gonna ride off. And so that mentally I should have been prepared to let that happen and just be like, okay, I think you might have to let that go, especially when, bearing in mind the conditions, bearing in mind my average speed through the track. So I should have treated like P10 as my first position and kind of positioned off of that, so that when the break did happen, I wasn't quite so jazzed. I was probably, if I'd been sat on P12, P13 wheels in that little bunch that ends up forming, but by the time it forms, they've come past me. I don't know whether that would have helped much more. I probably wouldn't have helped a huge amount, and I put a lot of this down to just being so terrible through this U-turn, like so terrible. Every time kind of we come into it, I think the two things that didn't help was being terrible going through it, and then not having the legs to kick out 800-900 watts every time to come out of it, which is what the start of this race was. And then you can basically see that the group moves away from me. And this isn't even the camera angle. It's not even the camera. I can't even be like, oh, Insta360 has a really wide angle. I'm actually super close to them. I'm not. They are moving away from me. I am like, I am hurting already. And yeah, like I'll talk about it at the end. Obviously, I grabbed the camera out at the very finish, but I'm not dejected by it. Like, I think this is just racing. Like, you get kind of Roger Federer talking about having a 40% win ratio. I mean, I've never won anything. It's probably quite unlikely that I will win anything, which basically means I've got 100% loss ratio. But at the same time, like, I'm enjoying it, and also, you can see how strung out this race is. You can see where the bunch is. If I'd been positioning kind of just to be in the middle of that bunch off the start line, I don't think I would have had to put so much in on that first lap. And we'll get into hold on like 30 seconds, and we're going to talk about wattages, because I'm just going to dial you in on this is me losing the group, someone coming round and offering me wheels. I love it when people chat to people in the race. Like, I love it, because I think what tends to happen is, and again, limited experience, some of the higher races, the Cat 1s, the 2s, the E1, 2, 3s, they have teams in there, they have teammates, and they kind of like, those teammates, I see them talking to each other, like they'll be chatting to each other. Like, a lot of these 3-4s or Cat 4s, there's no teams. So, I think chatting to people, we should encourage it, especially in these three. And this guy comes past and he does say to me, like, jump on the wheel. I'm like, sweet. Thanks for the offer, but I couldn't hold it. Bad day for the legs, Chris Miller. Oh no. So, I love it when people do that. Like, people come past, and then I kind of butchered it for him because he was on the other guy's wheel, and then he dropped back to let me sit in, and then I couldn't hold it. So I made it harder for everyone. So you are welcome. But I love it when people chat to people during a race. I think we should encourage it in a 3-4, in a Cat 4, because ultimately, they are fun. They are like, I love the fact that they are competitive. Like, I am continually amazed at how good cyclists are, especially with these things. And look, here's my power profile for the first 3 laps only, which is basically to this point. and I've hit a 305 average, but bear in mind you can see it's a lot of kicks. Last time I was at least 40 watts less, but my average speed was faster. So ultimately I've done 40 watts extra with a slower average speed, because my speed through the corners has been even worse than it was the last time I did this. So it was a lot harder, and my heart rate ends up being a bit higher. And if I throw the data on top of each other, you can just about basically make out that I was having to hold the kicks a little bit longer. It was just like those first 3 laps where, you know, I want to keep people in the right frame of mind. I want to show people more about, you know, the difference between doing a 4th cat and then doing a cat 3-4, and like the mentality behind it. Those guys wanted to break this race up, and this is how they did it. They just put extra 40 watts into this, but bear in mind my bike handling was terrible. And this is how the race played out. We had those 2 at the front, and then you see the whole pack coming through. One guy trying to bridge, I don't think he does. Whole pack comes through, so broken up. That big group there ends up being 2 groups. Okay, so you get that 2 riders off the front, and then it ends up being like 2 groups. So that's the race. And then someone else comes through, offers me a wheel, and I also like, I love people that like, hey man, like sit on my wheel, and then they just charge off. I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. It always makes me laugh, because I do try. Like, you know, I think offering people like your wheel is a great thing to do, and then charging off is even better. So kudos to you. So this is how the rest of my race plays out. Lewis comes past, shouts a few words at me. I think our game plan here was basically to not get lapped by the big main group was going to be the goal, and that would be a big, well, it'd certainly be a big win for me. My watts for this whole race were higher than the 4th cat, even though myself and Lewis end up basically just rolling turns to the finish. And I was doing everything I can to help Lewis out, because he was definitely riding better than I was, but I really did not have much like to offer on the day. And this is quite interesting, right? So look, this is basically my problem. These are the 2 race leaders, and they come cruising past, and obviously I gave them a bit of room because I knew they were coming through in the corner, but by the time they exit the corner, they're like a minute and a half ahead of me. The way that they hold speed, you know, and that was a bad example, because we knew that, you know, they made us aware that they were coming through, slowed down, gave them their line through the corner, but still, I just, you know, let's be realistic about this. I just felt like I was losing like 2-3 seconds just on the corner, and I think that was like purely down to bike handling. It's got almost nothing to do with watts. And then here's my sprint finish, or thereabouts, or whatever I have left at the end of the race, which is again pretty terrible. I think, as I mentioned earlier, yes, I have not tapered for this race. It's a lesson to learn amongst other things, but the end goal is a few events that I have coming up, and I'd still 100% recommend doing this. And you know, cheers Lewis, a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's so hard. I'm so glad you were there. I appreciate it. Bit of a battle. Appreciate your help. Being run by myself, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, I got shelled out hard. Oh, boys, we survived another one. Boys and girls, we survived another one. Like, you may think, oh, what life? Absolutely shelled out on probably lap 2 and maybe even lap 1. I still had a great time, and it doesn't feel like a failure. I know that from the outside looking in, you can probably mask it as like, well, that didn't go well, and I agree, it went horribly, but only from the sense of not being able to hold on to a race that I'm probably not qualified to be racing in anyway. So the fact that I'm here is a big win. The fact that I enjoyed it is a big win. I definitely, you know, the legs didn't feel good. I need to like respect, I'm not 20 anymore. I need to kind of respect this short form racing, these 45-minute sessions. I kind of do have to deload. So I have to figure that out another time, but yeah, on the outside, might look like a huge failure. Tom! Might look like a huge failure, but the reality is a lot of bloody fun, like a lot of fun. And I feel like it's good for my fitness, and I'm 42 years old and I'm out smashing the bikes, and the bikes are smashing me as well. But yeah, it's kind of a weird failure because I definitely feel a bit like lame cycling off the, getting dropped quite early, you do feel like a bit of a not a winner, whatever the opposite of that is, and you know what word I mean. But I'm not going to say it because, you're still here, you're still turning up, and I think next week we've got another chance to do it again somewhere else, and another chance to do it a little bit better. All I'm going to say is the advice of get to the front and stay near the front doesn't work if you can't stay near the front. If the front moves away.
Yes, I agree with you. You got to be in it to win it, haven't you? And I did, cause on the basis I didn't see you much, I guess you weren't in it.
Did you go off the front at the start?
I was in the break, and then there was a lad in that break.
So strong.
God,
they were half a lap ahead by four.
Mate, the break was hard. I couldn't hack it, hands down.
Yeah. I saw you drop back pretty quick.
The break was too
I had
much.
the view of that, but only because you guys, I could see it on the opposite side of the corner.
Mate, I dropped out of that break faster than a stone, and then I dropped through the rest of the pack like a stone, and I was rock bottom.
You dropped back and then just didn't stop dropping back.
Yeah, literally, yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Ah, well done then, dude.
Yeah, man.
Enjoy it? How'd you end up then?
Oh, mate, just in
the
back
big group. In the big group.
Yeah, but it was good fun though. It was good fun. Just
you lapped us the big group, no?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Oh, maybe in your group didn't. There was a group ahead of you that did. Yeah, you were basically group 3 then.
Yeah.
Because there were 2 off the front.
Then a group.
12 pack.
And then another group.
And then you were 8 or 9.
Exactly, but the group I was in was a mixed bunch really. But yeah, hey, look, we got around and it was good fun. So
yeah, cool.
Live to fight another day.
And now we're going to take loads of photos and put it on social media and tell people we're awesome.
Exactly. I won, you came second, right?
Yeah. Agreed. We'll do a full debrief in a second, but yeah, definitely not framing that as a bad day. I got a feeling my watts for that felt like on average it was higher than the week before, but I'm gonna have to check that because that was tough. Right, quick debrief while I have everyone here. Very different to the last Cat 4 fourth cat that I did when I was down here. I knew it was going to break up. It was hard. Like the guys in the front just absolutely blitzed it. I did not have those watts or legs today, or maybe possibly ever. But it was still a lot of fun, and I think I'm going to try and find a few more fourth cat only races to do. I think Abingdon next weekend is a fourth cat, so I'm going to pop along maybe and do that on the Saturday before doing the 2, 3, 4 road race on the Sunday. And given what I said about my legs not feeling great because my volume's quite high and the intensity is also quite high at the moment, it's probably not the smartest thing to do, but I'm trying to keep an eye on the bigger picture of becoming a little bit better at bike racing, but in the long term. So I'm not necessarily taking these races in isolation because I want to kind of, when the spring summer comes, I want to feel better and be able to ride better. And I'm learning a lot, because what I should have done in this race is I shouldn't have tried to stay in that front 10 to 15 riders. What I should have done, now that I've done a 3-4 at or down, is I should have ridden that under the pretense that it was going to break up, but my goal should have been to ride 10 to 20th, so that when it breaks I'm only ever trying to hold the 10th or 12th to 15th wheel. Just forget about that top 10 riders, because they were always going to disappear. Top 10, top 15 were always going to disappear. I don't have that ability. But if I'd ridden that so that I was kind of prepared for that to happen, then I think I might have been able to hold one of the break groups rather than just dropping off all the groups. I hope that makes sense. We're going to take some photos of the boys that are doing the Cat 2, I think it is now. Right,
Thanks for the advice on bringing a nice warm jacket. Guys, thanks for joining in this week. I hope it was useful, I hope it was fun. Abingdon next week, and then we've got the road race on the Sunday in Dorset, and this is building up. We've got Strada Bianchi coming up in 2 weeks as well. So do drop me a message if you fancy doing a crit race. Otherwise, I will see you guys on another one soon.